Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next panel. It is Reclaiming My Ocarina of Time, Navigating the Intersections of Mental Health and Gaming. And it is my distinct pleasure to welcome your moderator, Kiara Montero-Reyes. Everyone, give it up for Kiara.
Yay! Hi, everybody. Oh, thank you so much, Kevin.
You're welcome. And yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so here we go. So yes, as you heard from Kevin, my name is Kiara Montero-Reyes. You can also call me Kiki. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a board member of NYC Gaymers. During the day, I work as a counselor for survivors of any form of violence that identifies LGBTQ or HIV affected at the New York City Anti-Violence Projects. I'm a firm believer that you don't need to be holding the control to be a gamer. Give me the lore, give me the character sheet. I just want to know about the story. And I love watching people beat bosses. I'm a personal professional cheerleader, if you will. So that's a little bit about me. Anything more, Kevin?
No, I'm going to bring in your panelists and we'll get things started. So everyone, welcome your panelists.
Yay, yay, yay.
And I'll leave you to it. Have a wonderful panel, everyone. Enjoy.
Thank you, Kevin. Hello, everybody.
Hey.
All right, so there's no particular order. I just got everything kind of on a Word document, and I'm just going to announce you all perfect people. So that's what we're going to do, transparency. Starting off, we have my dear friend and colleague, Kay Richardson. They are an out and proud Black queer native of Montclair, New Jersey. They are an activist and racial equity educator. They firmly believe in equity of all women, TGNC and cis, and believe that there should be a place for women of all identities on college campuses. For more than a decade, Kay has been dedicated to creating spaces that foster genuine community around social differences. They have extensive experience facilitating workshops and working groups around LGBTQ education. Currently, Kay serves as the manager of hotline and prevention programs at the New York City Anti-Violence Project. Kay has been doing both nonprofit and rape crisis work for 8 years. Their favorite show is The Simpsons, and they are an avid reader. Everyone give it up for Kay.
Hey, how are you?
All right. Next up, we have Jay Justice. Yes, that Jay Justice, who is a Jamaican-American cosplayer, editor, and advocate. Her work has been featured by Sci-Fi, BBC America, and Marvel Comics, and she has been the inspiration for new characters in DC Comics and Boom Studios. Since 2009, she has crafted over 100 costumes, count them, and created panels at conventions across the country on the topics of comics, gaming, diversity in media, and costuming. As an outspoken POC, LGBTQIA+, and disability advocate, Jay is dedicated to creating lasting change within her community and inspiring others to do the same. Thank you, Jay, for being here. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Next up, we have Mel Cohn, who is a non-binary, trans, queer, disabled software engineer and vice president of NYC Gaymers, so my dear colleague as well. They work at the New York Times and previously worked at Microsoft. They're passionate about creating a safe and welcoming LGBTQIA+ community in New York City, especially for femfolk, trans people, BIPOC, and disabled people. Mel continues to uphold their belief that aspiring allyship is an ongoing action, using their platform to highlight the goal of racial, gender, and disability equity and justice. Thank you, Mel, for being here. All right. And lastly, but surely not least, as corny as that phrase is, it's true, Amanda Stevens is an eSport jack of all trades, working as a content creator, host, and diversity consultant. Most recently, Amanda worked alongside Cloud9 Esports for their 2020 Pride initiatives as their inclusivity ambassador. Everyone, please welcome Amanda. Yay! All right. So again, thank you for the 500th time for being here. To get this show on the road, I guess a good question to start off, right? Well, one, some background, right? Mental health, I think, is always such an important topic. I think that gaming has come some way, but not all the way, and where we need to change, where we need to shape the gaming community to accept all folks, and really promote mental health, right? It's not just about the tools, but also what environment are you creating so people can find sustainability in that. And to bring it to you all individually, I guess my first question would be, how has gaming changed for you? or has it remained the same, right? No particular order, and, you know, taking into account everything that's going on in the background.
I guess I can start. For me, I've always been someone who's worked from home. So like when everybody else was like trying to transition into working from home, one of the things that I reminded people is that you need to create like a separation, right? Because like for most of my friends, their desks is like their gaming setup, and now it became their work setup too. And so I told them like there's little tricks that you can do, like things that you put on your desk to remind you that it's work time, and things that you put on your desk to remind you that it's gaming time. But for me, like gaming hasn't really changed too much during COVID or during everything that's going on. It's always been sort of my escape. And so the only thing that I guess has changed is I've become more of my friends have joined me as a gamer. I've roped people into playing more games. Thank you, Steam Summer Sale. Because before I had friends, that might have had like a PS3 or like they had like a Wii that they've kind of just held on to since college, or they brought it when they moved out of their parents' house. And so now they're like, oh man, I have like an okay computer. Maybe I should play some of these like online games. And I'm like, ooh, yes, join me.
Yes, thank you, Amanda.
I'm picturing Amanda in that dark side hood. Join us.
Yeah.
Get to that dress, girl. Yes.
Loving the visuals.
Yeah. So for me, I think that it's kind of a mixed bag, because as a disabled person, you spend a lot of time at home because you have to. But then in my situation, I used to go to like 20 cons a year. I was at every PAX except for Australia and PAX West because it was during Dragon Con. And I kind of had to adjust to not having that easy extra friends, that convenience, gaming atmosphere that you could just go to because it was your job. And now you're kind of having to make your own schedule and kind of having to make your own environment to be productive in, without the constant impetus of, there's a convention coming up, you're going to be meeting with these game studios, you have to have this thing ready. It's kind of all on you to make your own safe space at home to kind of focus. And it's been rough. It's not easy. And right? Okay, honest. We can talk about that. We can acknowledge that it has been a struggle for people with mental illness, for people who are isolating alone because they don't have roommates or family or anyone. And you kind of have to, when you're a streamer especially, you kind of have to have that upbeat positivity, because no one wants to watch you sit here and eat Cheetos and cry. You kind of have to force yourself to adjust. And it's something that people need to reach out to more. I think it's really important to realize that your community is what you make it, and you can't just do it on your own. You can't. Yeah.
Right. Definitely.
I mean, I would say my gaming habits have not changed for good or for worse. I mean, I'm probably the newest gamer on this entire panel right now. Shout out to Rafi for getting me to this point even. Because I was one of those folks who had a gaming system. I had an Xbox, and then I got a PlayStation 4, and I was like, well, what am I going to do with this other than stream? And it was like, oh, I can play every Lego game that I have accumulated over the last 10 years.
Yes.
And so that's pretty much what I've been doing. It's fighting the urge in the middle of the day to check out a little bit, play a game, and instead just truncate my whole Saturday for cooking and video games. And that's just how it's operated for me. And I think it feels really good too, also to know that I have a lot of opportunities to connect with other people, so they can tell me all the games that I should be playing when my obsession with Legos is over.
Right.
But there's so many Lego games though.
I know,
so many good ones too.
Good. They're so good.
I think Jay brought up a really
cooking game.
Yeah, I think Jay brought up a really good point. Similar to Jay, I spend especially this summer, I spend a lot of time not at home. I'm either going to some esports event, or I'm seeing Jay at some convention. And one of the things I guess has changed for me for gaming that I didn't think about is a lot of these people that I'm used to seeing, throughout the year that I don't see anymore, we actually game more now, because because gaming is a thing I do with my friends who don't get to see me all the time because I'm traveling a lot. And so I used to not play a lot of League with the people I'm in the press room with, because I'll see them, we can talk about that stuff. And because I don't have that same work relationship anymore, the way that we've kind of filled in the void of not seeing each other at, playoffs or whatever, is gaming.
Right. No, thank you for that, Amanda. I think if anything, before we move on, Mel, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to the first question.
Yeah, similarly to Amanda, I've been remote for like the past 3 years. So it wasn't as huge a change as it was for other people. I actually found, I mean, it sucks to not be able to see some of my friends in person, but a lot of my friends are not in New York City because of being friends with coworkers and being disabled and having to deal with like days where I don't have enough spoons to see people. The fact that stuff is online now has actually meant that I'm socializing a lot more than I used to. So that's been nice. And definitely, like before, I never really played games that were online with other people, and now I've actually been doing that.
Word. Thank you, Mel. So, right, a couple of things. I think, Amanda, you're already creeping into this, and Mel also sharing their experience. You know, I guess my next question would be, right, how have you seen this affect your relationships, right? And I want to expand that the term relationships is not just romantic, any of them, right? You know, gaming more also means connected more. Does that also mean you're finding yourself in communities that you wouldn't have thought of before?
I play Final Fantasy 14 now. Me and my partner, even though they live like 10 minutes down the road from me, we don't see each other as much, obviously, because, you know, trying to be responsible, and also, you know, their job used to be around the street from me, but now that the campus is closed, they don't come out to the lab. And it took a while for them to get me to play Final Fantasy 14, but now that I am enjoying having this weird sort of sense of like, I'm kind of like, I like to like just like go on walks. Like I like going to like the downtown area because I live in a college city, right? And, you know, go to the board game shop, go to the comic shop, go to the board game cafe, you know, just like walk around, say hi to people, you know, have that interconnectivity of just like knowing the people around you. And the one thing that I've been liking this past month of playing Final Fantasy 14 is that similar sort of feeling. Like I run around and I do quests and stuff, and I'm meeting other new players and stuff, and it kind of fills that gap sort of. It's not the same, obviously, right? Because I'm not seeing my peeps, but like it's cool just like doing stuff and like, you know, meeting a new player, joins you doing this thing that you're doing on the world map, and then having a brief conversation with them, and then sort of like you're like, all right, cool, I'm gonna hop on my unicorn and go right off into this direction now. And it's like like this like weird similar type of thing, because like I don't know, like I'm a weirdly social person. Like the hardest part of the start of quarantine for me was like not seeing people every day. Because that's the thing that Jay knows this about me. I like being around people, and when you take away my cons, you take away my events I cover, you make it so I can't just like goof off in the comic store anymore. Like it wasn't a great start, and so like gaming has sort of helped fill that void in a way that I didn't need before. Before I was just kind of like a competitive gamer, and now I'm sort of rejoining that sort of more gaming community aspect.
Right.
Yeah, with me, I'm a little bit different because games are either the thing you do for fun for me, or the thing that I'm doing as part of a promotion or part of a work thing, or like streaming. And I'm such a goal and task oriented person that with losing access to all of my tasks and my goals that were based on my work schedule, I was like torn between I'm depressed, so I don't want to play for fun. And if I'm depressed, I can't play for entertainment for other people. So am I allowed to enjoy video games? Like what is happening? So you kind of have to like deal with your own, dude, it was a whole thing. I talked to a therapist. I was like, what do I do to try to get more like myself? Like, how can I get back to the person I was before the pandemic? Because it's like, you know, and if you're a person of color, if you're a Black person, you're scared of going outside because there's crazy people wandering the streets trying to shoot you. And so you're kind of struggling with dealing with the environment that we're in, and still wanting to be part of your friend group and your circles, because there are people who are reaching out to you saying, hey, we want to do an online convention. You're good at that. You do cons, help us. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm in a deep, dark space right now. Leave a message at the, like that's basically the first month of the pandemic. And it took so long to try to accept help from other people, admit that you need help, and then like push forward and move out, and then realize, hey, you know what, games are fun. It's okay if you're not 100%. You can still play a game. You can still do Animal Crossing while you cry, and eventually you'll feel better, and you can do stuff with other people too. So I think it was just learning to be okay again, and figuring out where games fit into like your current landscape. And I guess working from home is really hard too, because you're like, I need to have a set time to do this work, but I also need to have time to have fun, and I don't want to let those two things like overtake each other and not be as responsible as I would have been if I had a regular office to go to or something like that. So yeah, I think I've reached out more with people who don't live nearby because I'm not going outside, and I've gotten to talk to cosplayers that I didn't know before from other parts of the country, a lot of people in the gaming industry. I've gotten like new jobs. I'm really excited to add a few things to the resume that I'm working on because I have time now. I'm not at a convention every weekend. I can actually sit here and help create a character or review a narrative or like help someone make their game less racist, you know, that kind of fun stuff. So,
yes, for Black prosperity. Yes, for Black excellence and Black prosperity, for sure. Please hire these folks. Please give them money, even if they don't do work, because their existence is resistance. So always remember that. Thank you all. Anyone else want to add?
I've actually gotten a lot closer to some people, specifically those coworkers who are on the West Coast. We started a Discord like right before all this stuff started happening, and we talk on there all the time. And it's really nice because we spend a lot of time talking about, racial justice and LGBTQ plus justice and all of that. And it's nice to have a group of people where I can talk about that and vent and have that space. And the reason it started was we wanted to start playing Animal Crossing together. So I talk to them like every day. We play Animal Crossing together sometimes. It's nice to have that always.
Awesome. Most definitely. Thank you all for those responses. I think that, some of you folks already hinted at what is coming up or is continued as barriers, even when you are navigating the gaming space, right? Is it balancing it between work and for your own sustainability and fun, right? Is it that, you're still encountering like, all the isms, all the phobias that, right, this world operates of as you're gaming, right? Like you're like, yay, I'm exploring this world, I'm making new friends. And then there's that one person that you're like, I don't want you to let you ruin my day. But you had to say that, right? And so I guess, right, the next question would be, right, what are the challenges that either are continuing or presenting themselves now when you're using gaming as an outlet, right? As an outlet for your sustainability, as an outlet for all the emotions that are beyond valid at this time.
I think for me, it's less about gaming. So I predominantly work in esports, and when sort of Black Lives Matter kind of reached its apex, beginning of June, a lot of teams felt a need to make some sort of solidarity statement, and some of them weren't great, and some of them were all right, and a lot of them were pretty terrible. And it actually created this like really hard moment for me, not in like playing the games that these teams, play, but more so just wanting to be involved in my space. Because like as working as someone as a diversity consultant, it's really interesting that none of these teams a lot of these orgs don't have POC members. And they never seem to have the budget to hire a diversity consultant, but they wanted to make BLM statements, or they want to make pride statements and stuff. And so it created this really weird moment for me where I was pretty angry at my industry. And it's really hard to work when you hate the space you're working in. And you're really frustrated and disappointed with it. So I found myself retreating into games that didn't have anything to do with my work, which was a relatively new experience for me because I've been playing League and Overwatch and Magic and all of these things for most of my life, let alone my career.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone can take a breath with that, and thinking about how, right, we do have folks who have named their identities right here and what that means for the communities that you're a part of being impacted right now. What it means on the other end for folks who are watching, right, and maybe on this panel that need to think about how they continue to be allies every day, or how they need to join in on being allies right now, right? Some of these struggles are not new for anybody, right? And so, when you're thinking about gaming, right, there's definitely that balance of understanding that it's an outlet and also understanding that it's another platform to commit to your responsibility in engaging with problematic people, to create equity, to create equality, all our favorite words, right? But really, we just want that space to be not just welcoming, but actively growing in its role to serve folks of all identities. So thank you for that, Amanda. And I think everyone can definitely take a break, or not a break, a breath.
But can I talk about something really fast? The whole idea
Absolutely.
of gaming being an escape where everyone is like, should be feel welcome and should be able to be included. There's a really talented game dev who created a really cool wheelchair edition for 5e, and everyone was super excited because, oh, there's no reason why we couldn't have a wheelchair in Dungeons and Dragons. Why not? And it's free and it's for everyone to enjoy, and people are literally attacking this person. And I don't want to use the wrong pronouns, so I'm just going to say that they have been doing something really great for the community, and they're currently, I think they're working on the Witcher tabletop game as well. And the fact that people are so angry about an optional free thing that exists, so that people who use wheelchairs in real life, like I'm a wheelchair user myself, can actually enjoy a game is so crazy. It's like, what? How is this hurting you? This is like people getting mad about the gay romance options. Like, you don't have to be gay. You don't have to be gay. Lord, like, it's crazy. Being super supportive, think a way that people are like, well, how do I help with that? You can retweet the free wheelchair people are getting to use Dungeons and Dragons. You can support that person. You can give money. You can like just be a voice saying, hey, this is cool. It may not be for me, but I'm happy it's out here for someone. It's not that hard to be, I don't even want to use the word ally. It's not hard to be a decent person.
Right, that part.
I was going to say to that point, I think
it's easier to be nicer than to tear someone down, but for some reason, people take that low road all the time. Go ahead, Kiara, what are you saying?
No, I was going to say to that point, I think that some of that like really heavy negativity is what's like pushed me away from even engaging in any kind of like online game or like game console, because it felt like, is there ever going to be a space for someone who looks like me, or am I going to find people who look like me, or am I going to have to weed through all of the bullshit before I get to a space that feels comfortable, and then really feeling directionless for a really long time and just being like, maybe like I wish I still had a PlayStation 1. Like I sometimes wish like I didn't have to have the tech part of gaming, so I didn't really have to engage in that. But it actually feels really affirming to hear you say that there's very clearly a lot of other people who are experiencing that too.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but gaming is that thing where you do have to kind of dig through some nonsense, but it's so good on the other side, and we're going to help you.
Yeah.
I refuse to play online games, honestly, for that reason, like, except for with friends. Like, whenever I played LOL or anything like that, it's always been with friends, just because I am, like, not excited for the experience of being like a woman-aligned person playing games.
So like I hear that a lot, especially, you know, because I'm the gamer friend, right? A lot of people say, I would love to play this game or that game, but I've heard the online community is toxic. And my sort of retort to that, and it's not so much that like, these communities are 100% rainbows and sunshines and unicorns, because that would be a lie. But like, if you think about any sort of thing that you kind of have a hobby for, there's always like not so great parts of those communities, right? Like some of us might have been Tumblr kids at some point, or Tumblr adults, because I was an adult when Tumblr came out. But like, we all know that like there are some pretty bad Sherlock fans and there's some pretty bad Lord of the Ring fans, right? But like, because we don't think of those communities as things that we like engage with other people with, but we just kind of enjoy, we kind of sort of ignore those terrible parts. And it's the same thing with gaming, right? Sure, games are great. You can interact with a lot of people that you might have never met before or never had a chance to ever experience before. But like, remember that like you'll find the cool people, right? Like I said, I used to hate MMOs. The concept of paying for a game and then paying a monthly subscription on top of that game was like not my jam. And so like my partner can tell everybody this, I like fought them for a year and a half about playing this damn game. And now I'm like, oh, this is neat. I like this. This is also wholesome. It's just like finding the communities. Like Mel, you said you're like new to using Discord. There's a way to find Discord communities for literally anything. If you're looking for like queer people to play League of Legends with, there's a ton of people that there's a ton of groups for that. It's the same thing for like any game.
There's to take this Discord. It's really positive in there.
Yeah. There's take this.
Take this.
Take this. Okay.
You saw my pack.
they're a mental health advocacy group in gaming. Their phrase comes from the beginning of almost every Zelda game, where it's dangerous to go alone. Take this. They're really good peoples. But yeah, there's I think because games sort of has this sort of outwardly abrasive appearance, people immediately come into it guarded. And I think that if you just kind of opened up a little bit more and tried and looked for your community, you'll find that there's a lot of really great ways that you can engage with gaming that's healthy and affirming and great.
Honestly, that's the same advice I give people who are coming to America. Yeah, this country is super racist, but you know what? They're good people, and we're doing our best. Because gaming and cosplay and everything else, it's just a microcosm of the entire world we live in. That's just the way it is. It's always going to be a slightly smaller version of the planet. And there's some bad apples on here, but we're not going to nuke the whole world. We're going to continue to try to fix it for as long as we can. And I think that that's my approach to the gaming community. Whenever I get either a new opportunity for a new company that hasn't heard of me but wants to work with me, I understand that you might have toxicity in your workplace. We can work with you guys to get rid of it, and we can work to make it better. And I think adjusting the point of view of each person you talk to, because we all learn from each other. It's like a cycle here. We're all picking up positive and negative things from people who we talk to. But I think the more that you self-examine, the more that you can kind of see the issues that are happening around you and realize what you want to associate with. And that's a good way to approach gaming, living in the U.S.
Right. Definitely.
This is taking things on a tangent, but I think
we love tangents. Go for it.
I find really difficult about online gaming, and obviously I'm not trying to pretend my experience as a white person is more difficult than it is for a person of color, but being a white person playing video games and interacting in community, there are a lot of people who they treat me completely fine, and then later it comes out that they have some really bad prejudices, and it's not something that's obvious to me from the beginning, because me being a white person, they treat me differently. And I think that's a thing that I found really difficult, is trying to figure out from the beginning who are the problematic people without having to get into a situation later where something happens and their real personality comes out.
But I think it's kind of like what Jay said. That's true of anything. I've been finding out how low-key racist. I mean, I shouldn't say. I know low-key racist. Some of my old work friends from when I was in high school, who I just never got rid of on Facebook, because the Facebook algorithm is really good about not showing you people who you don't interact with until they say something racist. I forgot that my old boss was on my Facebook until he shared a low-key thin blue line post, and I was like, I haven't seen you on my Facebook in years, and you apparently use this thing, and I didn't see you until you said something racist. All right, Facebook, I see you. But it's kind of the same thing in the real world. You don't know what type of politics or biases people have until they say them out loud, and it's the same thing in gaming. So right. It's true of anybody.
Listen, first of all, no, it's real easy. I'm a Black, queer, disabled woman, and most people on my page, it's really apparent right away. This is a very gay space, but every once in a while, somebody will go, "Yo, is this gay?" And I'll be like, "Yep." And then they leave. Or in your case, since you don't have the extreme visibility of it, you can just be like, "Join in Destiny 2 chat, Black Lives Matter," and see who gets mad. Block, blickety block, block, blockety block, block.
Yeah, I have to say, every now and then on my Twitter page, I'll share something just hella trans, just as trans and as gay as possible, and then I'll see my follower count dip a little bit, and I'll be like, bye. Oh,
we're sticking to quality here.
Listen, I said trans and got rid of so many people so fast. It was great.
All right, we're sticking to quality, not quantity here for sure. And I think you all have made such great points about how, a lot of these isms and phobias are hidden in the gatekeeping that happens, right? I think a lot about how there are spaces that I haven't felt welcome, again, like I said in my intro, right? Because most of the time I don't directly play, I watch a lot, right? Or thinking about people where it's oh, well, if you don't play this class of games, you're not a gamer, right? What are Animal Crosses, right? There are people that really make those spaces, right? And so and thinking about those barriers, I really want to shout out that one of the first steps people watching who are looking for these spaces, right? Take folks' word, follow folks like Jay Justice and Amanda Stevens and Mel and Kay as well, to really find community. Yeah, I think that's one of the first steps to do, right? You're hearing amazing people here. And so, right, thinking about that and always sticking to quality over quantity. I think especially at this time, you can find that parallel in a lot of your relationships. Don't stick to things that drain you. No. Mental health is justice.
You keep saying quality over quantity. And I want to say one thing to go along with that.
Yes.
It's just that think about all the people who do believe in equality who are quiet because they're scared. And you realize that it's actually a vocal minority of jerks who are out here being transphobic and being homophobic and being racist. But the amount of people who aren't like that, but are too quiet because they're like, oh, I don't want to get involved. It's very messy here. The louder we are as positive voices in the community, the more they'll feel like they're able to join. And then you'll start to see just how outnumbered them bleepity bleeps are out here in the street. Okay. Right. The loud keyboard warriors with their nonsense. At conventions in person, it's like, if it felt like more of a safe space, we wouldn't have so many loud jerks. We would actually have more people quietly saying, hey, this is not welcome here. You can leave.
I mean,
absolutely.
I think the quality is out there. We just got to give them a place to be it.
I mean, most of us have met in the diversity lounge at PAX, right? And Jay is somebody who, like me, was around since the very beginning. Like, we've seen that when people know that these spaces. Yeah, as people see these spaces, right, it grows and grows and grows. Like, I remember when, like, the diversity lounge was, like, never popping. Like, you would just, like, be in there, and there'd be some people that were, like, they heard that Able Gamers was there, or they just, like, needed a place to sit down because PAX is very arduous, and there isn't a lot of, like, sit down and relax spaces. And now people, like, we're the first place people want to go to on a day, right? Like, they beeline just to come in and hang out. And it's similar to what Jay's saying, and you've sort of said too, Kiki, is that, like, when people know that these spaces exist, when people know that there's great other people, they do flock to it. Like, now there's, like, no place to sit in the diversity lounge, right? There's people standing, there's not enough chairs, you know
why it's there, right? People ask PAX for it. The reason why it gets to come back is because it is requested.
Yeah. So it's true community wise.
Like, when people they were saying there better be a PAX Diversity Lounge online. They were like, there better be one. We want one. I was like, ooh, okay. Get ready. Start making graphics, Amanda.
But yeah, I think
have your own little space there.
I will. Don't worry. But yeah, I think it's important for especially people who are watching this. I think we kind of know this already from the work that we do. That, like, the spaces are out there, and if you're really struggling to find a community, whether it's, you're looking for trans people that play Animal Crossing, or you're looking for, non-binary folks that play Final Fantasy, like, those spaces exist. And they might take some Googling, you might got to brush up on your Google foo a little bit. But, like, spaces for you exist. And I think one of the great things about geekdom is that, for me specifically, I found a lot of what I was missing in sort of my POC queerness in geekdom. I was able to find, other Black people that were into Magic, other Black people that were into the type of things I was into, because I looked for these online communities. Because, I live in a pretty white part of the country. I live in upstate New York.
Right.
I call it one of, like, the white factories of the world. So...
lots of quotables on this panel.
How do we shut that down? Like, what can we do to help you?
I'm good. It's just that, like, but I was able to find sort of the racial diversity I was missing by, like, looking for the communities online.
That's definitely, like, a super good point. I would say that, again, like, one positive thing that's come out of all of this and people moving to being online is a lot of these communities that were maybe harder to find before aren't as hard to find now, because everyone is moving a lot of their interactions to online. So it's easier to find those spaces online where you can find not awful people.
Definitely. Yeah, no, thank you, folks. I think that if anything, what I'm taking away is thinking about how, right, in the backdrop of both the pandemic that is racism, right? So for folks who don't know, racism is a pandemic alongside the pandemic that is COVID, right? We're really thinking about mutual aid. And I'm thinking about the intersections of mental health and how, your friend groups are like your original support group, right? And though we are like physically distancing and socially isolated, right, I think gaming has proven to be a place for a lot of folks, right? Like I've like used Discord for the first time in quarantine, so like that was fun. And so, you know, similar to your experiences, thinking about the first things you're using, you know, I guess I'm surprised I didn't ask this question in the beginning, right? But how, on the more positive note, if you will, how has gaming been an outlet for your mental health, right? What does it do for you and your sustainability? You know, some folks explained escapism. And so, right, what are other ways in which gaming and geekdom and nerds and like all our communities, right? Like, how are these things helpful for you in releasing, right, that kind of either generational trauma you're holding, that day-to-day trauma you're holding, right? What you're absorbing, that isolation you're feeling at times, right? How is gaming supporting you in that? What does it do for you?
I'm not poor in my games that I play. Yo, I got a healthy chunk of change in Final Fantasy right now. my Final Fantasy bank account looking way better than my real one.
Right.
But also, like on a more serious note, I think when I'm feeling not confident, one of the reasons that I retreat to games is it's a lot easier for me to express the skill that I have when I'm playing games, right? You know, like I said, I play a lot of competitive games, and so there's a lot of nuance and mechanics that I need to know when I play these games. And when I'm feeling sort of directionless in my career, or, you know, the fifth business has told me that, you know, we would love to work with you, but we just don't have the money right now, you know, and you start to internalize that towards your worth, right? That like you know, how am I really a diversity consultant if I'm not consulting with anybody? I can then go play a game and be like, well, at least I'm like pretty good at this video game, right? Like at least this other thing I did. I find it positive. Like, I know some people are like, oh, that's, but like for me, it's like, all right, at least like something is like clicking in my life right now, right? Like you know, when I have friends come over to play Magic, you know, and I get to win, and I win one of the games that we're playing, you know, it's like, all right, like not everything is like the dog in the room on fire. Like, there was that little corner that hasn't been touched by the blaze yet. It's going good. And so that's something, I guess. No. but that to me is positive though. Like it reminds me in a way that, like, you know, I do have skills, and then it's like, well, yeah, I'm like still good at Magic, and like, you know what, I'm also good at this diversity thing. Like it just helps build back up that confidence for me.
I want to tell you something as a fellow diversity consultant. Just because you're not being hired by someone does not mean that you're not good at your job. And remember, in order for a company to hire a diversity consultant, someone high up enough has to acknowledge the problem that they are having that is systemic in their company. The only reason why MIT brought me in to talk to them about how racist they were is because somebody high up enough was like, nah, we gotta fix this. And that's not always the case in every company, okay? There are millions of unemployed Americans right now having that same question of, dear God, what am I without my job that you're having? What they are a quality person who's in a crappy situation. And that's it. So I feel you on the, man, do I even count? Like, if I'm not actively working on a game, am I still a game dev? And the answer is yes, you did the thing, you gonna do the thing again. We just in a dark spot right now, but the light switch is around here somewhere and we are going to find it. Okay, that's kind of where we're all at right now, trying to find the light in the darkness in this whole situation. Video games where you get to feel wealthy are nice. Games where you get to redecorate a house that we're never gonna own because we're broke people in America. We ain't never gonna own no house. But in Animal Crossing we can, and it's really nice. You can visit your friends, do all the cool things. So getting to play games where, yo, I got to the next level. I don't know if I'm gonna make it to the next level in this country, Lord Jesus, without the health insurance. Will I get to age 35? We don't know. Like, but at least in video games you kind of get to feel like you can. So I love that. And the best one, in Dead by Daylight, I get to escape a murderer. The murderer right now is white supremacy, and I'm trying to get away from it. I don't know if I will, but we're gonna try. So I really enjoy the fact that video games get to me have a chance to laugh at something, to enjoy something, to put aside the bleakness of the reality for a few minutes. Like just a bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that we have such a talented group of people right now, because we all have had the same experiences in this community. And I feel like that kind of makes you feel, hey, you're not alone. You're not the only one going through this. You're a talented, and people realize that. They just don't want to pay you what you're worth. And sometimes there have been cases where they have the money and they just don't want to pay you.
Hello.
And that's their problem. That is not your problem. You gonna find somewhere else that's worth what you're worth, and you're gonna make it. It's gonna be fine. That's for everybody watching too. Y'all gonna be okay.
Jay said everything I was going to say. I was going to be like, it's not you, it's them. They have to know how to get you in the door. But I feel like games really give me the opportunity to solve a problem when it feels like the world is so out of control. I can't solve any of those bigger problems, but I can figure out how to get to the end of a level. I can figure out how to do these 3 tasks to complete this other task. Like, it feels like it makes my problem solving feel like at 100 when it, in reality, it might be at like a 40.
Love it. Yeah. And so definitely, I want to uplift, right? That again, like part of, cutting the BS in like the PC and kind of like my scripted moderator mode. Like, honestly, right, when we're thinking about like racial justice, right, part of that is like undoing mental health stigma. It's access to mental health resources, which includes gaming, right? It includes being a better, again, continuing to aspire to be allies and aspire to be accomplices in this gaming world, right? For those watching, how are you uplifting Black voices in this space, right? How are you just making it where Black joy is able to happen, right? Like, Black joy is justice, absolutely. Like, you know what I mean? Like, every day you're always seeing Black trauma, and if you feel like your timeline is all Black trauma, you're halfway there. Not even. Like, you're maybe just like going through the door, and you haven't, like, there's some isms there that are blocking your views. So really thinking about that when you're navigating these gaming worlds, right? And for the folks that are finding such connections with their speakers, like, again, follow them, love on them, give them likes, give them retweets, give them money. We love it. Tell your employers to pay them. If you work at places that, can employ them for whichever reasons, use their services, and make sure they get paid for every minute that they're giving their work. So definitely want to add that. We're getting Venmos and Cash Apps up on the screen. And so before I turn it over to the audience for any Q&A, I want to see if there's any last comments right now based on what we talked about.
I feel very welcome in this space as a new gamer, which is what I had emailed Kiki before. I was like, oh, I feel like maybe I won't have anything to contribute. But the truth is, this has been an incredible experience because I've not ever been in a space with other Black queer gamers and felt like, oh my, maybe I've found more people. Like this feels so good, and thank you.
It's like rock climbing again, Kay.
It's rock climbing all over.
Rock climbing? What y'all doing climbing rocks?
I know. So while we talk about rock climbing, if people have questions, please, if viewers have questions, please ask. We'll talk about our experiences. So Kay and I used to rock climb, and as you can imagine, we were like, we're the POC, right? Yes. See, everyone thinks rock climbing is a white thing, which there's a reason for that.
I mean,
but no, we found some POC, we found some Black queer folks, we found queer folks. I know.
Wild
it was like through a
experience.
connection of connections.
It was a good time though.
Yo, Jay, I go skiing with other Black folks. It's great.
I'm from Jamaica. We don't do that.
Check out the bobsled team.
There were some special folks, and we're very proud of them, but they were outliers and shouldn't be counted.
Yo, all I know is that I've missed Jay so much.
We just didn't the crew, but we were better than y'all, and now we're done.
When all the conventions got canceled, I was like, damn, I'm not gonna get my J fix. This is fixed it.
Kay, that shirt you have?
I'm gonna get you on Twitter. I'm gonna get you.
Kay, that shirt you have that Rafi got you, that's from Jay. Yeah.
I almost wore that shirt today.
What shirt
but it's got all the creative Wakanda. Oh my gosh. Yes, one of my favorite shirts. Wow, small world. Shout out to Rafi, who I'm sure is maybe
they're freaking out watching this.
Rafi's in the YouTube chat, so I know they're enjoying this.
Yes, I love that shirt. It's my favorite one. Thank you.
I almost wore my NYC Gaymers shirt, but then I was like, nah, I gotta rep Trans Lifeline today.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have a cosplay panel after this, so I was like, let me just put on a costume.
Rafi's giving us hearts in the chat.
Of the USS Pantless. Aww. So any questions about anything? Because honestly, we are very broad, like wealth of knowledge here.
Absolutely.
If I want a pie recipe, like whatever.
Definitely.
I think we got a solid 15 minutes left.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm looking at
were you out of questions, Kiara?
Kiara?
All right, cool. 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 All right everyone is just so happy to have a space where they know that nobody's going to be misgendered or be like accidentally racist. That if it was me in the audience, I wouldn't have questions. I'd just be like, look at y'all black and pretty on the TV. Like, I wouldn't.
It's the opposite
I'm that
of a
nice
problem.
audience member who's just happy to be there, just enjoying it. Oh, thanks, Bobby.
Right. I guess, to give
Awesome.
some folks
Okay,
some
well, then
suggestions.
I will ask a question for everybody else since nobody has anything.
Yes, go for it. Yes.
Oh, okay. So what do you guys want to see retained from the pandemic progress? Because there has been some, not a lot, but there's been some. What do you want to see retained from the pandemic that's going to be brought into the after everything's over? Like when we get back to being like normal, whatever, what do you want to keep from this time?
I want people
I'm going
to
last is my question.
I'm actually pretty happy that people have learned that like gaming is like a thing that they can do as like non-gamers. I heard this so much when the pandemic started of like, I'm not a gamer, so like, but that Animal Crossing though, I've been playing so much Animal Crossing, or I'm not a gamer, but that Final Fantasy VII remake that's been hitting them feels. And it's like being a gamer is not really like, it's an identity, but it's not that serious. Like if you play a game and you enjoy it, you're a gamer. And so like I've enjoyed seeing a lot of my friends realize that like during the pandemic that like, yeah, they're a gamer and yeah, they're a nerd because they like rewatching Avatar or they're about rewatching all their Disney movies. Like, yeah, enjoy your geekdom. You don't have to like have like the high-waisted pants and like the pocket protector and the dark frame glasses. Like you can just be a nerd. It's fine. We're cool people.
Don't come from my high-waisted pants.
I was gonna say maybe we love a good pocket protector. Some of us love button downs.
Can you have pocket protectors? Is that what you're coming out about right now?
I don't, but I feel like I need them for all of my shirt pockets now. I was thinking about it before, but now maybe that's an area I need to explore when I go back into the office. I think something I really would love is for people to realize you can stay in online spaces. Like, I don't mind going back, but I actually think I have appreciated more online spaces to connect me with people that don't live in New York City. And to be honest, I don't want to leave my apartment right now. So my hope is that like we still hold on to this. It's okay for us to be virtual, even if we go back to like in-person gatherings. I feel like I really want people to realize how valuable virtual spaces have been for connection and for community, instead of just being like 7 hours of Zoom meetings. Like, no, 0 hours of Zoom meetings and like 7 hours of me talking online with my friends instead.
I feel that so much, especially with like the accessibility aspect. I mean, you've heard lots of disabled people at the beginning of the pandemic super angry about the fact that they want these accommodations and hearing the bullshit of like, oh, we can't do that. We can't make stuff online. And then the moment it's necessary, suddenly it's available. And I'm personally going to be super pissed off if once this is all over, they don't continue to have these options. Like, because it's so huge for so many of us. Like, sometimes I have to make the decision of whether I'm going to go to an event or work one day because I don't have enough spoons to do both. And I want to be able to still be a part of that, even if I am doing it online instead.
Right. Absolutely. I think everyone's privileges have shown during this time, right? Agree. Very snooty, privileged people. Yep. Oh, yeah. And then Jay, I know your question, and we also have a question popping up as well. So if you want to answer yours, and then this one's as well from Mary Manu.
Okay, I'll be really fast. Basically, same thing Mel said, except of just being able to work or go to a convention. We should provide all of the accessibility things people have been asking for years. People who weren't allowed to graduate colleges because they were disabled, all of a sudden now everyone can graduate remotely, and it's like, wow, look at this equality that we could have had for years. And a lot of job opportunities, people with disabilities, where they're like, oh no, you must live on site. All of a sudden now you can hire me remotely because none of your options can move to because we can't leave the US. Like, I think that's just something that should be available all the time. And we should really examine why we're doing this. Like, it seems like it's gatekeeping, like a little bit like we're just trying to keep people from a lower socioeconomic statuses from reaching the job that they want. But now everyone is kind of like at the same playing field. And it's like, we're just as qualified as the person who can walk or who can see or who can hear. We just need accommodations for it. That's all. Okay, so Mary, what games are you currently playing? Well, Dead by Daylight, Destiny 2. When you just want a mastery game, Gems of War. Obviously Animal Crossing. What's that Marvel game that's on the Switch? You know the one, Ultimate Alliance 3? Yes, that one's really fun. I want to play the new Avengers game, but I can't get past the graphics. And you guys, what are y'all playing?
I'm on
Good.
Lego Marvel Avengers, actually. I'm at 98%. And then on my phone, The Simpsons Tapped Out. Those are my top two games right now.
Oh, yes.
Well,
So I recently picked up a game a few days ago called Cattails, Cattails, and it's basically Cat Stardew Valley. If you all have ever played Stardew Valley, except like, yeah, you basically you have you pick a cat and you go around and like hunt things and go in the mines and things like that. It's been really fun, especially because I'm obsessed with cats.
Amazing. Amanda?
I've been playing Final Fantasy 14. If y'all want to join me, I'm on the Primal Data Center Hyperion server. I'm a white mage because gotta support my peoples. And then I've been playing a lot of games I haven't played in a minute. So I've been replaying Final Fantasy Tactics. I've been replaying Shapes and Beats, which is one of my favorite games. I've been replaying actually just all the Final Fantasies. I've been learning how to speedrun. And of course, instead of picking, like a normal length game, I'm like, yo, let's learn this like 6-hour speed run. Right? Like,
you crazy.
It's been fun, but like, yeah, I've been a little crazy. Speedrunning is like my new casual thing because it's like it's cool. It's giving me another community to hang out with because like it's a very technical process. And so whenever I've been like creeping towards like the average pace. So now it's about like figuring out how to like get faster and just that a lot of the speedrunning communities that I'm now a part of, they're all super welcoming and they're all like very inclusive about like helping people get into it and helping people troubleshoot. So that's been really nice.
Awesome. Yeah. I guess for myself too, I have been getting into Boyfriend Dungeon. We love it. It's actually very inclusive, even though it's called Boyfriend Dungeon. It has partners of all identities and all looks, so love it. So I think that looking at time, right, we can start winding down. I think that one last question we can look at is from somebody. Where'd I see it? From Steven Giannaca. Any game Rex that carry a message you want to broadcast louder? Oh, I got y'all thinking. Okay.
I mean, there are so many. I wouldn't say games that have like a message, but I want to support more non-binary creators for sure. So I think everyone should check out Astrolure Games. They have some really fun visual novels that are all free to play, and you can like buy a little DLC if you want to support these awesome non-binary folks from New Hampshire. Let me just type it in the chat so you guys can. It's Astrolure Games, and they're all on itch.io. If you like visual novels, go for it. You get to be, your character can be non-binary. There's, I think, a dozen different pronoun options for your character in the game, which is really cool. And the default character is biracial, which is like biracial people getting to be the default in something, like winning. Yes. So I think that the game itself is really fun fantasy romance game, and not so much like the message, but I want to support the creators and the world that they're building that is more inclusive. So yeah. And I don't know if you guys can put that in the chat for everyone to see, but that's how you spell it. And they're on Twitter as well as on itch.io.
Thank you, Jay.
I can't think of one. I don't play. I'm actually really bad. I don't play a lot of indie games. Indie games just like if I know that there's like a really cool one, I'll like retweet it out because I have friends that like produce them. But I haven't been playing anything. Nah, I'm drawing a blank, and this is real bad.
No worries. I do have to go. I'm so sorry for leaving a little bit early, but it's been so much fun with you guys. I'm really happy I can do this panel. I got another panel in like 5 minutes, but you can find me at That Justice on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, Twitch, and I'm on twitch.tv, That Justice. If you want to watch me play video games and build crafts and stuff, I got some really fun Warcraft builds coming up that I'm going to be streaming. I cannot wait. It's going to be awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. Bye.
Thank you, Jay. And if you can, please pay That Justice. Venmo and Cash App as well. But no, Amanda, I think that if anything, right, there's always like, I think especially for Black, Indigenous, POC people, folks who are TG and B, right, there's always this pressure that you have to engage in gaming that is relevant to your cause. And it's like, fuck that, like enjoy yourself. Like it's fine, you know?
I'm just so busy with like actual like work that when I'm not working, it's time to turn my brain off. So I'm like, oh man. So I'm like, oh man, I'm not working. Yo, it's time to just like fire up some League of Legends and just play some Salt Q.
Hell yeah. Any other folks have responses to Stephen's question? No. Okay, good question though, Stephen. Thank you so much. I think with 5 minutes left, I definitely want to wrap up. I want to share my ever-ending gratitude. I hope that people feel that through the video. You all are amazing. I'm glad to know some of you personally. I'm glad to now know you all more a little bit, Amanda and Jay especially. I've said it 500 times and I'll say it 500 times more. Pay these people if you can. Again, if you have jobs in places that need diversity and inclusion, experts and educators, make sure that they get paid and look at these folks for hiring if you can. Please think about the work that people put into that is relevant, not just because they studied it in school, but because that's their lived experience. And so consider that when you are hiring folks. Any last words from our panelists?
Support Trans Lifeline.
Absolutely.
We do amazing work to help out the trans community. We're one of the only support lines that doesn't do, man, my brain shut down for a second. We don't do, it's funny when you don't have to talk about something on the spot, you can't remember anything. We don't do wellness checks. So when you call our hotline and you say that you're not feeling away and you need assistance, we don't do wellness checks. We have a microgrant program where people can apply to have help with getting their ID and their documents updated. That's really important. If you need the phone number, it's right here on my shirt. Some reason why I'm wearing the shirt is because I can't remember phone numbers for my life.
That's 877-565-8860, everybody. Trans Lifeline. Yeah. Google them.
Yeah. Support them. Translifeline.org.
I'm going to take a moment to plug NYC Gaymers. Kiki and I are both part of NYC Gaymers. You see the makeup of this panel. This is something that we try to have in our spaces as well, because we know how much gaming is flooded with white cis people. Like, it's not great. So yeah, we have events. We had an event online recently in Discord, like a virtual school festival where we had an artist alley where people could come plug their stuff. So yeah, it's a good place and it's my happy place.
Right.
I have nothing to plug other than you can, if you want to hear me talk about white supremacy in this capitalist world, you can follow my Twitter at Today's Madness. And I'm just going to be like, yes, follow NYC Gaymers. They do really great things. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Definitely. And thank you all for being here. Also plugging that NYC Gaymers is starting kind of our own Pokemon League. Please follow our pages to learn more about that. Okay, I see you had a thinking face.
I had a thinking face because I really want everyone to please wear a mask. That was my final takeaway. Wash your hands and please wear a mask. Like,
do I have hand sanitizer? Use hand sanitizer. Like all that stuff.
Just do it, please.
Don't be.
I got more than one. Masks.
And don't wear a mask for you, wear a mask for other people, because when you're wearing a mask, you're protecting other people. And when I see someone not wearing a mask, what I think is you don't give a shit about other people. So
yeah, and even if you want to be selfish, wear the mask so you don't get sick, right? Like just put it on your face, over your nose.
They got some cute masks online. Yo, like I have a mask for outfits now. Like you can accessorize, be cute.
Absolutely. That part. Everybody. So I was going to say don't be nasty, but what I mean to say is don't be gross, because I accept nasty in certain spaces. So everyone, please have a wonderful day. That's what you should know about your moderator. And thank you, FlameCon, for having us. Thank you all for being here. I'm looking forward to staying connected.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you all for joining this wonderful panel. This has been Reclaiming My Ocarina of Time, navigating the intersections of mental health and gaming. Our next workshop that's happening right now, in just a second, is Paper Yay, a workshop being led by T. Berry Blue. You can find that in the comments below, the link to that. And if you are on YouTube, sometimes the links don't show up there. You can just go to our YouTube channel for Geeks Out, and you can find the link to the next video there. Also, please go to our Twitter and our Instagram feeds. That's at FlameCon on Twitter and at InstaFlameCon on Instagram, where lots of creators are sharing their artwork with the hashtag FCOpenFlame. So go and support them, and tune into our next panel starting now.